out of the White House's plan to put Washington front and center in the AI race, comparing what they want to do to the Manhattan Project. You know, the research project that gave us the atomic bomb. It's called the Genesis mission, a government-wide push to fast-track AI breakthroughs in energy, science, and defense, with the Department of Energy at the center of it all. The plan unites AI research across 17 national labs and some 40,000 DOE scientists, creating one coordinated federal AI platform for the first time ever.
Here's a scary one. Two pioneers of artificial intelligence have sounded the doomsday alarm. They're warning that the extinction of humanity could be only a few years away. The authors of the best-selling book, If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies, says that as AI becomes smarter than humans, it could develop its own goals, deceive its creators, and gain power over us all. One of those authors has told a conference, unless governments act quickly, we are doomed.
I do not expect something actually smart to attack us with marching robot armies with glowing red eyes, where there could be a fun movie about us fighting them. I expect an actually smarter and uncaring entity will figure out strategies and technologies that can kill us quickly and reliably, and then kill us.
Michael Notel is an associate professor at the University of Queensland and specialises in artificial intelligence, and he joins us from Brisbane. We just heard from one of the authors of the book, If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies. This is scary stuff. Is humanity actually staring down the abyss?
The Trump administration is pushing to expand AI in federal scientific research. Yesterday, President Trump signed an executive order launching the Genesis mission. The plan allows Department of Energy national labs to use AI while partnering with tech companies and universities. Supporters say it could boost research in physics, chemistry, nuclear science, and space exploration, but critics warn the move could drive up energy use and raise safety concerns if regulations are weakened.
With this pen today, President Trump signed an historic mission. This is reminiscent of the Manhattan Project that brought World War II to an early and successful end, similar to the Apollo projects that put a man on the moon in 1969. This is an all-in national effort to take the power of AI and pair it with the 40,000 outstanding scientists and engineers at our national labs to use the world's largest supercomputers to advance innovation and science, to fix our rising energy costs, to give better economic opportunities for our citizens, to make longer and healthier lives possible. Today was not incremental, Brett. It was transformative.
Sure. Well, if you say, like, in the long term, where will things end up? Long term, I don't know what long term is. Maybe it's 10, 20 years, something like that. For me, that's long term. My prediction is that work will be optional. Optional. So
we'll take that.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be like playing sports or a video game or something like that. If you want to work, in the same way, like you can go to the store and just buy some vegetables, or you could grow vegetables in your backyard. It's much harder to grow vegetables in your backyard, but some people still do it because they like growing vegetables. That will be what work is like, optional. And between now and then, there's actually a lot of work to get to that point. Mm-hmm. And I always recommend people read Ian Banks' culture books to get a sense for what a probable positive AI future is like. And interestingly, in those books, money doesn't exist. It's kind of interesting. And my guess is, if you go out long enough, assuming there's a continued improvement in AI and robotics, which this seems likely, the money will stop being relevant at some point in the future. Now, there will still be constraints on power, like electricity and mass. The fundamental physics elements will still be constraints, but I think at some point currency becomes irrelevant.
A lot of people think, okay, are we in that type of scenario where they feel like this is some sort of next war endeavor or frontier? What do you make of it having a name and kind of the references to the Manhattan Project?
Yeah, so I think this is a tremendous
shift in kind of America's approach to AI, or really, I think it's a reinvention of kind of federal backing of AI projects. So we've seen throughout the Biden administration, earlier in the Trump administration, kind of federal efforts to back AI, but this is kind of the first really concerted push, throwing the heft of the federal government behind the development, research, and application of AI. So as a colleague said to me, if it really was the Manhattan Project, we probably wouldn't be talking about it, because that remained secret for quite some time. But I think, I don't know if it's similar to the Apollo program to, reach the moon, maybe something like President Biden's cancer moonshot. But I think it is a really substantial, declaration by the Trump administration that we're going to focus on using AI to search for scientific discoveries and basically change the way that scientific research is actually conducted in America.
So what does this mean for Silicon Valley? I mean, should we consider this a formal power shift from there to DC when it comes to the AI space?
So I think this is, as I see it, kind of more of a joining of forces. So if you take a step back, the development of AI as we know it today is kind of interesting and different from many other very high-performing technologies. So if you think about the internet, even kind of the development of microchips, all of that was really subsidized or kind of spearheaded by the government. So AI, on the other hand, has really been spearheaded, developed by a handful of private sector labs. You think Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, the companies whose chatbots you use. So I think the announcement yesterday is kind of a joining of forces between Silicon Valley and the government. And there's certainly a lot of chummy relationships between people in the White House AI czar David Sachs has a very close relationship. A lot of these people were former venture capitalists in Silicon Valley. So I think there's going to be a lot more public-private partnerships. And that's one of the most exciting parts of the order, is it explicitly said that within 90 days, the Secretary of Energy, who's kind of overseeing all this, has to identify some of those opportunities for further public-private collaboration.
It is scary stuff. And I think there is a higher risk than anyone is willing to tolerate. So the people building AI themselves think there's between like a 2 and 25% chance that AI kills us all by the end of the century, meaning it's probably the most likely thing to kill my kids. And that's by the people building it themselves. And most of us, from our surveys that we've done, expect AI to be about as safe as airlines. And the number of deaths from that is an absolute fraction of the risks that seems to be imposed by artificial intelligence.
So what's it going to look like, Michael, if it starts to go against us?
The scary thing is that because it's smarter than us, we don't know. And that's exactly why it would be very difficult to control. So one analogy that they use in the book is, if you play the world's best chess AI, I don't know how it's going to beat me. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know that I'm going to lose. Not even the best humans can beat that AI. And so if we have an AI that is genuinely smarter than us, we don't know how it's going to beat us. But one of the things that they talk about in the book is that COVID showed us that we're very vulnerable to viruses, and viruses can get much more deadly than COVID. And so if you have anything that has any knowledge of biology, there is a pretty decent way to attack us there.
Is there a specific tipping point that you can see coming?
The thing that most people are worried about is when AI can start doing AI research. Because if AIs can make AIs smarter, then there'll be all of this pressure for the companies to use them to make their models better and better. It's the fastest way to get to something that's smarter than us, is to have an AI that can help improve itself. The issue is that if you hand control to an AI, to its own development, then it can, if it goes even slightly off the rails and its values are even remotely detached from our own, then it'll be really hard to keep control as it starts to become more and more powerful.
It's funny, Elon Musk, before he went right off the charts, used to warn about all this kind of stuff.
You've highlighted that AI models are grown and not crafted. What do you mean by that? And does that mean a bigger risk for humans?
Yeah, so most software is crafted where each line is written deliberately by someone who knows what the instructions are doing. AI models aren't built like that. They write a piece of software where the model is trained off a whole bunch of data. And it makes it much more like raising a kid than crafting a piece of furniture, where you give it hopefully the right environment and hopefully the right stimulation, and hopefully the right kid comes out at the end. But as we've seen from many examples this year, it's really unreliable. So you mentioned Elon Musk. He trained one of the world's biggest AIs recently, and a very minor change to the instructions that they gave, and it was professing itself as Hitler on the internet and talking about death to the Jews. And this is, one of the world's wealthiest and smartest people trying to control something. And this would not happen with a normal piece of software where you've coded everything in. But because we're just kind of trusting the model to learn the right things from the information that we give it, it makes it much less likely that we're going to get exactly what we want. And that's what creates the danger.
And we all know people are dumb as boxes of rocks. That's the sad thing. Cyber Monday sale good till December 7th. Y'all go get something if you want it. Got the trust accounting class coming up. Have a safe and happy weekend, everybody. God bless you.